England are on the verge of a World Cup exit. 2-1 down to France in the quarter-final after a late Harry Kane penalty miss. Yeah, England on the verge of heartbreak. They've had their chances. Harry Kane's penalty. Marcus Rashford has just gone narrowly wide with a free kick. And the breaking news is that England have been knocked out of the World Cup. They have lost at the quarter-final stage to France. Olivier Giroud, the French hero, with the deciding goal. Harry Kane with the penalty miss. And England, who played really well in this second half. Jay Bothroyd watching it for us. There's not much to say, is there?
Another, heroic failure. There's nothing else to say. I think first half France were on top, but second half we was on top. We was fantastic. But again, I think they created more clear-cut chances and they finished them. We didn't really have a clear-cut chance. Yes, Bellingham had a shot that went over, which was a great save by Lloris. Harry Kane missed a penalty, massive pressure penalty. But overall, I think another disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to feel for Harry Kane because he did a lot of good things in that game. I just wondered whether the Lloris factor, made no difference for his first one, but he likes to go in that corner, and then, second one, you've got to then change your mind, maybe go somewhere else. I
mean, I think he made up his mind. It's always difficult when you've scored a penalty already and you're taking another penalty. It's always difficult. He's tried to go the same way. I think he's just tried to be a bit too precise, and in the end, he's hit it about a yard over. And I mean, even if it is on target, I think Lloris saves it because he's gone early as well. He's gone the same way. To be honest, I'm speechless. It's been some great performances throughout the World Cup. Bellingham has, showed out, played really well. But again, it's one of them situations where it just keeps happening to us.
Yeah, and Olivier Giroud, the other centre forward on the pitch, came up trumps, and he had a bit of luck. And sometimes it is just those small margins, isn't it? Because his header deflected off Harry Maguire's shoulder and flew in the top corner. I mean,
it's about inches at this level, and they got the rub of the green tonight. But like I said, he's one of the most underrated forwards in the world. He's so effective. He doesn't have no speed, but in the box, his movement is really good. He has the knack of getting into positions and finishing. And to be honest, if I'm being really critical, I think Maguire really should have checked his shoulders. He should have opened up his body so he can see when Giroud's coming across him. I mean, that was really the only mistake that you can really talk about all night from the back line. They were really good. Walker handled Mbappe really well. Shaw was up and down the left, putting really good balls in the box. But again, I mean, it was a heroic failure in the end.
Yeah, heroic failure. Just looking at these pictures, Gareth Southgate, so dignified. I mean, he's had his critics, the Nations League, going into this tournament, but he's done an awful lot of things right. Yeah. And such small margins. I mean, he's still the man to take England forwards, do you think?
I mean, yeah, like I said, I think he's done really well as a manager. It just seems like we're not getting the rub of the green at the moment, but I think the way he set up the team this tournament, I think nobody will fault that. He played all the attacking players, and they all played really well. It's just inches, and we were just unfortunate on the night. I mean, Harry Kane, now I'm looking at Harry Kane, he looks completely gutted, as you would. He's our captain, he's our talisman. You expect him to put that in because he's so good at penalties, he's so good in pressure situations, but it just wasn't to be tonight for him.
Yeah, we've seen before in big tournaments, haven't we, with Beckham and Rooney being sent off. This will have a similar feel to Harry Kane, that he's let people down. But that's football. You can't always bang him in. He's been a fantastic leader, a talisman for his country.
100%. Yes, he missed a penalty, but he's not to blame. There were situations where we could have maybe had a better end product, but we can't blame him. He's had a fantastic tournament. He's been a very, very good leader. His link-up play was great. Even tonight, he looked really dangerous, really confident. But again, it's just that situation, and sometimes you don't get the rub of green. Everyone misses penalties. To be honest, I'm really gutted myself, to be honest. I'm
sensing you're gutted. We're all gutted here in the studio. Let's take a look around the country then, because the fans, this is Croydon, Box Park at Croydon, and you can see they're similarly anguished, Jay. They'll be debating, should Harry Kane have rolled it in the far corner? Heroic failure again. The whole nation's going to be deflated, because when you think of Morocco awaiting in the semi-final, not to say they'd be a pushover, but they put so much into their game today that you'd think whoever won this one's massive favourites to reach the final.
I mean, to be honest, I said before the game, I think whoever won this game today will win the World Cup. Again, I revert back to Harry Kane. I think the only thing you could say is just hit the target. Just hit the target. And he's blazed it over. Again, I don't want to blame him, but that was the moment. Yeah. That is the difference. But again, I think overall, I think it was a very good tournament. Yeah. We put in some fantastic performances. I think Gareth Southgate managed really well. I think he made the right substitutions, the right changes. He was very positive. But again, it's just one. It's a story. Since I've been alive, it's been the same old story. We always kind of seem to fail in those pressure situations. It's really, really disappointing. I think this will affect Harry Kane. Yeah. Because the weight of the country is on his shoulders in that position, and again, he's just missed a penalty. But I think overall, Bellingham was fantastic in this tournament. Foden played really well. Saka played really well.
I was going to ask you about
a lot of positives.
I was going to ask you about the positives, and maybe now's not always the right time to talk about the positives, because we want to kind of wallow in our anguish. But Saka second half, when he was going at people, got fouled for the penalty. He was excellent. There was a lot of positivity. This wasn't England, as in Croatia and Italy, when they got to these big games before, kind of defensive and hanging on. They were going for it. They were playing front foot football.
Yeah, I think the team really showed belief today. They showed confidence. I think France just edged it in the first half, but they scored their goals. I think second half, the way England came out on the front foot, pressing forward, Bellingham bombing on, Saka was instrumental. He got the penalty. He really had Hernandez on toast. And then Foden on the other side, he was playing really well, was getting in between the lines, picking up the ball, dribbling. There's a lot of really good performances there. Walker, I mean, before the game even kicked off, there was so much being talked about Mbappe v Walker, but Mbappe was anonymous tonight. He didn't really do much at all. And that's credit to Walker. And then one-on-one situations where everyone was saying, he's going to sprint past him and people need to double up. Yes, there was help from Henderson and Rice and Bellingham, but I think ultimately there was a lot of situations where he was by himself. So again, I think there was a lot of really good positives coming out of it, and I'm sure that from these kind of situations, England will grow, and we've got a really, really good nucleus of young players. This will help them going forward in the next competitions we play in.
Yeah, I think Mbappe went past Walker once, didn't he? Down that left-hand side. That was pretty much.
That was it.
That was pretty much it. Was there a danger that we focused too much on Mbappe? I'm not saying England did, but the media and pundits, because they are more, as they've shown tonight. I mean, who would have said that Tchouaméni was going to pop up with a worldie from 28 yards? They've got threats all over the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. They had threats all over the pitch. First half, Griezmann was really dictating, the style of play that they was moving in. Dembele was really sharp, playing 1-2s around Shaw and getting the ball in dangerous areas. But again, I think if I maybe one criticism would be, I would have liked to see Walker bomb on a bit more. I think it was clear to see that he was told to be a bit more defensive in today's game, just purely for the fact that, if you're going to give Mbappe even a few yards, he's going to get away from you. But, when they're both starting close together, Walker can get his arm across, he can stifle his run a little bit more. That's what he done tonight. Maybe we should have said bomb on a bit more early doors in the first half. But again, it was a fantastic performance from Walker.
Yeah, and you mentioned France and their threats all over the field. I mean, a word for Olivier Giroud. I know you said he's incredibly underestimated. He's France's leading all-time scorer. And yes, he moved on from Arsenal. Yes, he wasn't always first choice at Chelsea when he was there, but he's still playing some top-class football at AC Milan, and he showed what he was all about today. Right place, right time.
Yeah, I mean, his movement. For someone so big, you kind of see good movement normally from smaller players. They're nippy in the box, but his movement is really good. His timing is really good, and when he gets in those positions, he's very clinical. I've never heard anyone say, you know, he's difficult to play with, he's difficult in the change room. Everyone seems to like playing with him. He's had a fantastic career. I was disappointed as an Arsenal fan to see him leave Arsenal. I think he was really good. You know, you never really see him moaning if he's on the bench or anything like that. Today, he's the record scorer for France. He's popped up again with another important goal.
Jay, thank you all. Just hold it for now because we can get some reaction. We can get some reaction from out in Qatar and speak to our senior reporter, Kaveh Solokol, who's been following England throughout this tournament. And Kaveh, no doubt, as gutted as we are. A valiant performance. Jay Bothroyd's called it heroic failure. Once again, England just coming up a little bit short.
Yes, that's a very good way to put it, heroic failure. I'm trying to imagine now the scene in the England dressing room. Of course, there'll be players in there who are very, very down, very upset at what has just happened. But I'm sure Gareth Southgate and the other members of the England coaching staff will be going around and telling them, look, get your heads up, you know, wipe those tears away, because that was a fantastic performance from England. To beat a side like France in a World Cup quarter-final, you need the rub of the green. You need decisions to go your way. You need key moments to go your way. And that just didn't happen for England this evening. I thought there were some very questionable decisions by the referee. A lot of the England fans inside the stadium behind me thought that France could have been down to 9 men. For instance, Antoine Griezmann, surely he should have been shown another yellow card, and if he had, he wouldn't have been on the pitch to put that cross in for Olivier Giroud to score the winner. Also, Theo Hernandez, who brought down Mason Mount for the penalty, surely he should have been shown a red card as well, which would have meant that France would have been down to 9 players. But when you talk about details, of course, it came down to the 83rd minute. I was standing there surrounded by England supporters. Everybody was getting their phones out to record what they thought would be Harry Kane breaking Wayne Rooney's England goal scoring record. Of course, a few of the fans around me were worried. A few of them were saying, oh no, he's going to miss, which way is he going to go? Everybody was talking about the fact that Harry Kane knows Hugo Lloris very, very well because they play for the same side. But I think that is what it came down to, that penalty miss from Harry Kane. And of course, I'm sure he'll be blaming himself this evening. He'll feel very, very low. But considering everything that he's done for England in the past and the way he played tonight as well, I thought he played very, very well. It's not his fault that England ultimately lost this quarter-final.
Yeah, Kaveh, England have a great team spirit, don't they? You win as a team, you lose as a team. But at moments like this, penalties that are missed at crucial moments, I presume everyone rallies around Harry Kane. There might even be, you know, some sports psychologist stuff needed for things like this. But you know, he's not to blame, but he will take it personally and he'll take it hard.
Yeah, of course he'll take it personally. Of course he's going to be reminded about it every day when he goes back to Spurs, and he trains every day with Hugo Lloris and he plays with him. You know, they're very, very close friends on and off the pitch. Their families are very close as well. I'm sure Hugo Lloris will actually be in the England dressing room now trying to speak to Harry Kane and try to console him. But I don't think Harry Kane is the type of character who's going to dwell on this. Anybody who knows him, anyone who's ever interviewed him, knows how strong-willed he is. And he's not going to be defined by missing one penalty. He will break Wayne Rooney's goal-scoring record. It's just a matter of when. He's going to score a lot more goals for England. It was just really disheartening the way England's adventure in Qatar ended, again because of a missed penalty. A lot of times we talk about England's supposed poor record in penalty shootouts. They had 2 penalties this evening. Harry Kane, the first one, brilliant the way he took it. The second one, it's difficult in this kind of circumstance on such a big occasion to have to take another penalty against the same goalkeeper, a goalkeeper who knows you. There's so much mind games going on. Perhaps he thought that Hugo Lloris was going to go the same way again. He needed to put a bit of extra power onto it, maybe aim it a little bit higher than he normally would, and that led to him missing the penalty. But as I said, we're spending a lot of time talking about that missed penalty. Let's not take anything away from this England performance. I thought the England players 1 to 11 played brilliantly. A lot of questions were asked about them, about their ability, about whether they were good enough to beat France. I think everybody watching at home, I'm sure everyone who's watching this watched the game as well. They will know as well as I do that England matched France, and another night England could easily have won that game. Let's not take anything away from France though. They scored a brilliant goal through Tchouaméni, and also the second goal, you know, fantastic cross from Antoine Griezmann. Perhaps England players should have done more to cut out that cross. Brilliant header from Olivier Giroud, who got in between John Stones and Harry Maguire. Maybe they will think they could have done better. But as I said, it was a game of fine details. Things just didn't go England's way tonight, and also the referee. I hear what a lot of England supporters inside that stadium were complaining about. They thought France could have been down to 9 men, and Antoine Griezmann certainly they felt shouldn't have been on the pitch to put that cross in for Olivier Giroud.
Southgate's been in charge for over 5 years now. He's done an amazing job, and I think everyone recognised, particularly in major tournaments, with a semi-final, a quarter-final, and of course the final of the Euros. Just you know, kind of wondering where he will be now, because we've seen several teams, haven't we, exit the competition, and then their managers have announced that they are kind of calling it a day. You can get a sense with Gareth Southgate, he's still the man for the job, and most importantly, he still wants to be the man for the job.
Look, the facts are that Gareth Southgate still has another 2 years left on his England contract. There is also a sense among the reporters who follow England that maybe Gareth Southgate feels that after this World Cup would be a good time for him to leave. As you said, he's been the England manager for 6 years. He's got England to the semi-finals of the World Cup, the final of the Euros at Wembley, where if it hadn't been for a penalty shootout defeat, they would have been champions of Europe, and this time round to the quarter-finals of the World Cup. But look, he hasn't just been at the FA for 6 years, because he was working at the FA, I think, for 5 years before that as well. So he's put in an 11-year stint at the FA, and if he was to come out tonight or tomorrow or in the next few days and say, you know what, I think I've had a pretty good innings as the England manager, I've had a lot to deal with. When you're the England manager, it's almost like you're a politician as well, because he's not just dealing with football questions and football problems the whole time. He's having to deal with a whole range of other issues. I think if he came out and said, you know what, I've done my time, I did my best, I think I've left England, not just a senior team, but all the underage teams as well, and the sort of level of coaching that we've got, everything is in a better shape than when Gareth Southgate arrived at the Football Association. I think if he was to say, I want to leave, I want to go back to club management, I think he would go with a lot of good wishes, especially from people at the Football Association, and also his players. His players don't want him to go. Some of his players have been asked out here in Qatar about the possibility of him leaving. Obviously, that's not a question they want to address directly, because they've got more important things on their minds, and they don't want to create any headlines about the possibility of Gareth Southgate leaving. But the players, the FA, want Gareth Southgate to stay. I'm 100% sure of that. But if Gareth Southgate was to come out and say, you know what, I've been working at the FA for 11 years, it has been very taxing, I've had some difficult times, we've had some great times as well, we've made a lot of progress, but I feel like I need a rest, and maybe I'd like to go back to club management. I think a lot of people would be upset, because he's done such a good job as England manager, but people would understand that maybe he does need a rest and maybe he does need a change. But I would say he has 2 more years left on his contract. Whenever he's been asked in public, whenever the FA have been asked, they've always said that as far as they understand the situation, he is going to be the England manager until 2024.
Kade, great stuff as always for now. Thank you. So England fans gutted and England licked their wounds, but these are the French fans, joyous that their campaign to defend their title goes on. They have beaten England 2-1 and they are through to the semi-finals on Wednesday against Morocco. We'll have plenty more reaction when we come back.